Alright, what is going on YouTube? It is your boy GZTV. We are back with another 2025 movie review. We still have a whole another month worth of these videos. We are here to talk about dangerous animals. This might honestly be the best shark movie I've seen probably since Jaws, and Jaws came out, what, in the 80s or 70s? That's really saying a lot. Now obviously you have like Sharknado, and you have all these like Sharks 3D and all these weird ass movies, but it's not even just a horror thriller either. This movie is kind of like Jaws meets Point Break with a serial killer thrown in there. There's a lot of really dope concepts, a lot of like aesthetics and movies kind of combined into one, and this thing is a blast. And the craziest part is they literally reference Point Break in the movie, so the director knows exactly what kind of vibe he's going for here. This is just a straight up good time. I don't really remember who directed this movie, but it is a good ass movie. Super engaging, it's fun as hell. Honestly, one of my favorite watches of the year so far. I'm really excited to get into it with you guys. Let's go. So getting into the premise, the movie follows Zephyr, who's the main character played by Hassie Harrison. This kind of introverted, misunderstood, me against the world type of character, you know, the rebel without a cause. Kind of living out of her van, surfing, keeping to herself. I think they're in Australia, I want to say. And she ends up crossing paths with Mo. At first it seems like your typical setup, two very attractive people, instant chemistry, things move fast, all that stuff. They start this whole relationship, but the movie actually kind of builds something real there, those two. They bond over surfing, music. I love Creedence River Revival, they're pretty awesome, and just life in general. And then everything flips when Zephyr gets abducted by this absolute psycho who is kind of referenced and like foreshadowed and teased at the beginning of the movie. We have Tucker, played by Jai Courtney, I think his name is. This dude runs a shark diving business where he like takes people out on the water, kind of uses it as a front to kill people, and like puts them in a cage and lets them like look around at the sharks. He secretly kidnaps people, feeds them to the sharks using this insane crane harness system out in the open ocean. It's fucking awesome. It's crazy. And from there it turns into this kind of survival game, kind of a cat and mouse between Zephyr, the ocean, and one of the most unhinged villains I've seen in a movie in a minute, especially in terms of horror. So let us get going. First off, starting with the good, let's get into where the movie absolutely just kills it. First off, let's get into the actors. Jai Courtney as Tucker, absolutely perfect casting again. I'm not super familiar with his work. I know he did a pretty big like franchise a while ago. I can't remember what it was, but I heard people talking about it. But he is an absolute menace. He is the perfect guy to play this character. His mannerisms, his Australian accent, and like how he's so invested in these sharks. I fucking love it. He's got this weird, jolly, almost charming personality on the surface, but underneath that, he's just completely twisted. He's almost like a control freak. He wants things his way. He wants to pleasure himself out of other people's suffering to the sharks. He just loves the sharks. Like he kind of dances around in the boat, makes some food, he sings, he records everything, he watches it back as well on this old school ass TV. Now I'm not sure where this movie was supposed to take place or when, but it is a pretty classic looking film, so really cool for that. He loves what he does. Like he loves this whole front of like taking people out on the water to swim with these sharks and eventually killing them, which I'm not sure how he keeps getting away with that, because you would think the townsfolk would kind of pick up on it, but I guess he picks people that no one's going to be looking for. Whatever. It makes him such a unique horror villain, just everything about him. Like there's nothing generic about him at all, and honestly this character alone could have carried a whole franchise. I'm actually kind of upset that they didn't announce this as a franchise and that they made this the way they did. It actually kind of sucks he dies at the end, but it had serious sequel potential. You could have had a Michael Myers, you could have had a Freddy Krueger, you could have had a Jason Voorhees type of character here, but honestly even better. He's so twisted. He's almost like Jigsaw, but like in the flesh. Give me a prequel right now, please. I'd love a prequel. I'd love a backstory to this character. I want to know what made this dude like this. Did he always want to run the shark tour thing, or did he get into it as a cover for his sick obsession? There's so much there they could use. I don't know if they're planning on doing something in the future, but there you go. And then Zephyr, played by Hassie Harrison, easily one of my favorite final girls, at least in a long time. I mean, she is amazing in this movie. She is strong, she's smart, she fights back, she just never gave up the entire film. It's almost like, again, a Saw type of situation. It is kind of like Saw meets Jaws meets Point Break. I think it's got all those three kind of mixed in, and very successfully as well. The scene where she like bites her own finger off to escape the cuffs, absolute insanity. It really shows like the imagery of like a shark. She looks like a shark or she's like gnawing on her finger. Absolute commitment, absolute like survival instincts. It's insane. You're rooting for her the entire time. Again, one of my favorite final girls I've probably ever seen in a movie. And I gotta talk about Mo too. I can't remember the actor's name for him, but at first he seems like your typical good looking radical surfer dude. He seems like that, but the movie actually gives him heart. It actually gives his character a lot of depth. It gives him a lot of likability. The relationship between and Zephyr are surprisingly great. At the beginning of the movie, I mean, you kind of look at Zephyr and you can understand her because she's kind of a misfit. She's been thrown through foster homes and all this different shit. The relationship moves a bit fast, but it feels like genuine love at first sight, and I feel like that was executed very well in this movie. The way they meet, the way they connect, kind of the whole breakfast scene, like him making her breakfast and her like dipping out of there, him tracking her through like the Wave Watcher app as well to save her, risking his life to go find her, absolutely real. It is an incredible, almost love story while also being a horror film. It makes everything hit harder emotionally as well when you really get down to the nitty gritty of it. And I mean, even the side characters in this movie work. I mean, getting into Heather, she was kind of a part of the beginning sequence of the film where we get introduced to this killer. She was awesome. I mean, she kind of starts off innocent, almost naive. She kind of starts to admire Zephyr, and they get stuck in this little prison in this boat together, and they bond with each other. And then her death is just brutal. That one absolutely hit, and I'm actually very happy that they decided to keep her around in the movie. And the kills in this movie are absolutely awesome. It is carnage candy. It is absolutely gnarly. I really liked it. Anytime you get dangerous animals, monsters, sharks involved, it's gonna get crazy, and they did a very good job. The blood looks a little pink, but it still looks fucking cool. The whole concept of like lowering people into shark infested water while they struggle and attract the sharks because they're in fear, that is such a crazy and like effective idea of like instilling horror into you as you're watching. Even the non-shark kills are great, namely when the like weird ass neighbor comes in and was like wondering what the hell is going on here, screaming and all that shit, and then he gets like hooked in the fucking forehead. The dock neighbor getting hooked through the skull was wild, and shout out to the dog surviving too. I thought for sure they were gonna kill it, but that was kind of funny. That whole sequence was fucking crazy. Tucker coming out of like the convenience store or like the thrift shop with the camera and then going back and like realizing someone is trying to save Zephyr. It's insane. And there's just not a single boring moment. It's one of the more engaging movies we've seen from the last year, and that is saying a lot considering 2025 was so good for movies. Even when they're sitting in the prison on the boat, still engaging. It's very hard to make a movie engaging for the entire time. Now I understand it's only like an hour 40 minutes, but still it is great. I love this movie. Getting into the bad, this is more about just the quality and maybe some of the writing decisions. Some of the dialogue is a bit iffy. It's obviously not perfect. There are some typical movie stretch the belief horror issues, and you guys know me, I'm very much into realism in movies. I don't know how many times I've had to say this in videos. People getting stabbed, impaled, and just kind of pushing through it with adrenaline. That whole thing was crazy. Like Mo's literally got slashed in the back, like fucking impaled by this hook, and he's just still going after him. Again, I understand the adrenaline. That's kind of what they're trying to play it off as, but it's typical movie stuff. I mean, I kind of just accept it. It's still something I'm going to acknowledge as the bad because this movie isn't absolutely perfect for reasons like that, but there you go. Getting into the CGI, just the way the water and the sharks looked, you can tell this is a low budget film at times. Now, otherwise, all the practical stuff like the bodies floating in the water, all of the gore and all of like the dirty shit and how everything kind of looks outside of the water, it's great, but the water is definitely noticeable. It's not absolutely terrible. It's not absolutely abysmal CGI, like a sinful act of CGI. The gore actually looks really good besides that. So it kind of balances out. I don't know if this is even necessarily a bad thing, just getting into the effects, but there are some scenes where it's like, okay, you guys didn't have enough money to get prosthetics or anything like that, so I understand. Or to even have real sharks in your movie. Zephyr's dialogue, sometimes I was just going to get into this. The whole like emo me against the world thing can come off a little cringe here and there. There are certain scenes where they go a little far with it, and she's like, there's nothing on land for me. It's just, you understand it. Like there's certainly people in real life that go through that, but you're watching and you're just kind of cringing at that. I don't know if that's just me. I just had to comment on it. It's not constant though. It's only like a couple of scenes where they really go for that, and it fits her character enough to where it doesn't like absolutely ruin anything. Like you understand why she's acting the way she is. Pretty minuscule stuff. I fucking love this movie. So getting into the okay, kind of just a few things that sit in the middle. I mean, the story itself, the concept itself, I love it. Like there's a lot of nuances and intricacies to it, but you got to acknowledge that it is pretty straightforward. It's not super twist heavy. Like we saw a lot of the plot twists from like One Battle After Another, The Long Walk, all of those different films. Can't remember the other ones. Companion's probably one of the most twist filled movies of the entire year. You kind of know what kind of movie you're getting. You kind of know the resolution to an extent that this thing is trying to reach, but honestly I think that absolutely works in its favor because it focuses on execution instead of trying to overcomplicate things, trying to go for crazy ambitious writing choices that you might not like or might be mixed on. And I think sometimes it's okay to not like be unorthodox and try to bend the rules. Now obviously in the concept this movie does bend the rules, but in terms of what happened, you kind of understand it. I mean, this is a spoiler review. I didn't really say that at the beginning of the video, but you guys should should see these all as spoiler reviews. And just getting into the visuals, just getting into, like, I know we talked about the effects, but just the cinematography, the way the thing is shot. I do like the wide shots of the boat, and especially when the chopper gets involved and you're looking off in the distance and you see a party boat at night. Just the ocean atmosphere, just the setting it takes place looks great. It's not trying to be overly artistic, but it is definitely effective. It's not over the top good, which is why I'm putting it in the okay. Kind of has a classic stripped down feel. Again, you can kind of understand why this was such a low budget movie. The symbolism is there if you want it as well. Just getting into that, just the meaning. I know I talk about movies all the time as a meaning and like what this stands for, what commentary they're going for. The whole we're sharks mentality is really cool. Zephyr wanting to be out in the water and Tucker trying to like put her in this box of like, hey, we're both sharks here. We're both hard. He's a soft little bitch over there. Mo, you see him? Just the survival instincts, the misunderstood people. Sharks are one of the most misunderstood creatures in the ocean, and the main character Zephyr feels misunderstood as well. I understand that. I really like that, but the movie doesn't shove it down your throat. Maybe I would have liked them to touch on that a little bit more, but it does let you enjoy it and kind of marinate in just how fun of a movie this is at the same time. So I'm kind of going with that. Here we go, get into a review. Dangerous Animals just overall is an insanely entertaining movie. One of the most entertaining movies from the last calendar year. It is obviously simple on the surface. It is obviously very storybook and you're kind of knowing what's happening, but there's actually a lot going on underneath. A lot of intricacies to the story. You have great characters. You have an awesome villain. You have a strong emotional core. Just straight up fun from start to finish. I mean, who doesn't love a good old-fashioned slasher horror film? I mean, it's kind of untraditional in the sense that the killer's MO is completely unique, but it doesn't try to be something it's not. It doesn't try to be overly ambitious, and because of that, it ends up being one of the most enjoyable movies I've watched in a while, and certainly for 2025, because man, they have been killing it at the theaters. Definitely one of the highlights from that year. Man, super entertaining, great performances, just a damn good time. An hour 40 of just absolute cinema, absolute enjoyability. Best shark movie since Jaws. Not even close, Sharknado. Don't even try it. I'm giving this movie an 8.8 out of 10. It is damn near a 9 out of 10. I didn't want to be that high with the review. Maybe 2025 is that good of a year, but I don't want to keep giving movies 9 out of 10s and stuff like that. So that is where I'm going to leave it off. I think up next we're going to watch The Plague. That seemed to be a very unique concept, but man, this movie is absolutely phenomenal. It is on AMC Plus on the Roku channel, Roku TV or whatever you call it. It's a free trial, so I went ahead and did that for 7 days, canceled it the second I pressed play on the movie. I got the movie for free, so there you go, AMC Plus. I finessed your system. Leave a like, comment, subscribe though. As always, it's been your boy GZTV. Go check out the social medias. We're doing 2025 movie reviews for the next month or so. We have about 10 to 15 more movies on this list. There were a lot of really good recommendations coming out of last year. Horror, drama, comedy, the likes. So tune in.